How was that? Was it because it was Christmas? How did I miss the fact that there was a Kari Lake Maricopa lawsuit decision? Do you all know that there was even a decision? It was like there was a lot of silence about it. Yeah, she lost. She lost. Was there anybody who predicted that she would lose? Yes, probably a lot of you. I predicted she would lose because they did not show intent. They showed that things went wrong, and I think they did a good job of showing that enough went wrong between the chain of custody question and the things printed on the wrong, on the wrong ballots, etc. I think there was good evidence that it could have changed the result, and there was good evidence that things went wrong. But there was no evidence that it was intentional. I think the closest they got was speculation that the administrator had to do it intentionally. But that's not really evidence. It's more speculation. So how many people were surprised at the result? Nobody's surprised, right? What I predicted, after you'd seen how clear the evidence was that there was a problem, because that part seems to be not disputed. I don't think there's a dispute that there were major problems that could have changed the outcome. But I just don't see the courts willing to overturn any kind of election. Broke 1,000 viewers. Yeah. So here's what the court said in part. A court setting such a margin aside, meaning the number of votes, so a court setting such a margin aside, as far as the court is able to determine, has never been done in the history of the United States. Should that matter? Should it matter that an election has never been set aside before? I'm a little bit on the fence on this, because I can see it both ways. I like the instinct of the court not to interfere. You like that, don't you? Don't you like the instinct of the court not to interfere? Like they need a really, really good reason? Like really, really, really good reason? I think I'm okay with that. Even though it maybe didn't go the way I would have preferred. I feel like that's responsible and yet also not legal. Why does a judge take the non-law into consideration? Because that's not the kind of precedent it's not a legal precedent, is it? I suppose it is. A legal precedent of non-action. Can you have a precedent of non-action? Or does a precedent have to be an action? Or is it the same thing? Non-action is a decision. I don't know if that's a detail or not. Anyway, so I'm not surprised. I also don't mind. I don't mind that we move on. I do mind that we don't fix it for next time. Have you heard the stories about all the things they're doing to make sure these problems don't occur again? No. No. It looks like they plan to do it again. Oh, no, that's right. There's no evidence of intention. No evidence of intent. Let me remind you again that whenever there's an opportunity to do something sketchy that has a huge potential gain, such as winning an election or making money, and there are lots of people involved and it's possible to get away with it, how often do bad things happen? All the time, every time. Maybe not on day one, that's the only question, but eventually, yeah, 100%. That situation is a breeder for bad things to happen. So I don't know if any bad things happened, but could they have done bad things and hidden it easily in this context? If somebody did do, let's say, the ballot printing, if they had done it intentionally, would they be able to hide their intention? Easily. It could have been a maximum of one personal conversation. It might have been one person who talked to one other person who said, if you just change the setting, all hell will break loose and conservatives won't get to vote on voting day. It would only take one person whispering to one other person. No documentation, no, you don't even need to collude. Like after the first person gets the idea in their head, there's no extra meetings, no conversations, it just happens. Now, let's do a reality check. Do you believe that anybody is smart enough to know that the election results would change if they changed the size of the printed ballot? Do you think that it's likely that was an intentional plan? So most of you are saying yes. Where do you think that opinion came from? Why do you think you have that opinion? Was it assigned to you? Or do you think you would have come up with that on your own? It's a tough question. To me, that looks like an assigned opinion. Here's why. If you tell me that somebody is smart enough to know that that plan would work, I say, I haven't met that person yet. There's just like 1 degree of sort of cleverness and uncertainty that just feels a little bit more than what real people do. Right? Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not saying that you're wrong if you think it was intentional. I don't know. I'm just saying that the nature of it requires a little bit more cleverness and thinking than I expect in politics. Right? Now, here would be a straightforward plot. I have no evidence it happened, but suppose it was a straightforward plot of collecting ballots from various places that were sketchy and then voting. Does that sound like something that real people would do? Yes. I'm not saying it happened or in big enough amounts to change anything. I'm saying that would be like an ordinary, yeah, people would do that. How about people filling out ballots for dead people? Does that sound like something that would actually happen? Yeah, because that's sort of easy and just straight ahead. Yeah. Now, maybe not enough to change the election, but yeah, you'd believe that. But somebody gets into the machine and they know enough to change the size of the printing because they know that the conservatives vote on voting day. They know it'll slow it down. Maybe. But I think you're in coin flip territory at the very least. Like if you could say that situation is 50% or more likely to be a conspiracy, I would say, I don't know. I don't think it's 50%. If you told me there's a 25% chance that it was intentional, I'd say that sounds about right. Now again, we're all just using our totally subjective, opinion. My 25% has no basis in fact. It's just that when you hear anything that's a little too clever, I always discount it. Just too clever, boom, take down the odds that it's true. All right, which doesn't mean I know it's true. That's my little rule.